LSU coming off a dominating win against Southeastern, 56-10. And I think the big question is, and a lot of people are bringing up this talking point of, look, the offense was a lot better against Southeastern. Of course they were. Southeastern's not a great team, and you try to look at a game like this and a situation like this and say, Blake, what do you take from it? Well, going back and rewatching it and going back and looking at the film, going back and watching just a basic TV copy, this is how I walk back from the both of them. Now, the film, and I know we were on Carter's show last night showing all 22 copies of stuff, and in those all 22 copies, I'm not going to bore you with that. I think Carter does an exceptional job. You can go and break that down. But I think there's a couple of key points that we need to take away from the game on Saturday based off of the narrative of what's happened until the Southeastern game now going into Ole Miss. Guys, I thought Garrett played exceptional. Briankelly was asked today by Paul Feinbaum about, Coach, I didn't really think that you were going to let Garrett Nussmeier play. And he's like, look, I'm not trying to degrade our opponent. Briankelly says this, not trying to put down on our opponent, but we need him to get like reps and like not even really competitive reps, but just reps and actually just live reps against an opponent we know that we can beat. And I think that for me, and I know we talked about this on the post game and it was posted on social medias, I think that Saturday was by far the best overall game that Garrett Nussmeier has ever played in an LSU uniform. Guys, you go back and you watch it. I mean, he's got 5 drops, 3 from Nick Anderson, 1 from Barry and Brown, and 1 from Aaron Anderson. And I know the Aaron Anderson throw, I mean, I know it was a little ducky, maybe came out of his hand a little bit wrong. He's got to make that catch. The Xavier Thomas, the other incompletion, I thought was pass interference and should have gone for LSU. So I look at a game from Garrett Nussmeier coming off of an injury and needing the reps after being limited in practice for, guys, literally the last month or this entire month so far, and saying to myself, okay, that is what you expected from him. But not only that, guys, it's not necessarily the opponent, because I see a lot of people wanting to take away who the opponent was, and I get it, and it's something that we are going to see down the road. But, guys, he should have been perfect. And I think that that's the point that I look at this and say, listen, you have your struggles offensively. You can't run the football. Your receivers are dropping way too many passes over the last 3 weeks. There's so many things that you can break down about what's not going on in this offense. But, guys, he went perfect. The outcomes on some of those missed catches, some of those situations are not on Garrett. And if you continue to make decisions the way that you made decisions Saturday night and you're confident in some of the throws that you're making, guys, I think you're going to be fine. Actually, I really do think you'll be fine. Are there things that they got to clean up? Can Garrett do this by himself? No and no, or yes and no. You got to clean things up. And no, he can't do it by himself, nor should he. But, guys, he went full Herman Boone perfect. Do I think that there are some things that I saw on film? And, again, we showed a couple of the clips with Carter. You can go check it out on his channel. Are there some things that I think Garrett wants back? Yes. I think that he made some tighter throws that maybe he wishes that he would have gone somewhere else, and against greater opponents, it's going to show itself. Because there's nothing other – for me, I don't think that there's anything coming out of Southeastern to say, okay, well, Garrett was hurt. He came back. He played flawlessly. And, guys, you can make the argument that he played perfect football. Because I do think that he did. I do think that if the Nick Anderson post, the Nick Anderson comeback, the Nick Anderson slant, the Barryon Brown, the Aaron Anderson drops don't happen, what are you talking about with Garrett Nussmeier today if he's 30 of 31? And if the Xavier Thomas call is made, what do you make of him going 30 for 30? Because, guys, I don't care if it's Southeastern. I don't care if it's the Aaron opportunity between you and I. When you go perfect, it doesn't matter. You got to keep translating that, though. You got to continue to translate some of the things that you did. I still think you were a little too cute offensively, to be honest with you. And I know you ran an end around and you try to run like a fake end around and get the ball to Barry Brown. I know you're able to do things, and your offensive line has got to be better. But quite honestly, I think Garrett's got to make a couple of reads and start moving and getting out of there, because he's making really good decisions right now. This is the Garrett Nussmeier that you should have expected. Blake, it's Southeastern. We can continue to talk about it. But, guys, when somebody goes perfect, go look at every quarterback around the country and go look at them playing Rudy Poo Tech, whoever it is. And they're not going perfect. They're making bad throws. Garrett went perfect. And you need it. He's going to have to continue to replicate not being perfect, because he can't be. Nobody is. But what I think that he was a perfect decision maker. And that was the biggest area of his game that he had to be better at. Guys, the Caleb, I agreed with somebody in the postgame who brought this up. After going back and rewatching it, you know that Garrett can make all the throws, and he did. The best play that he had was the check down to Caleb Jackson, in my opinion. Look, man, ain't nothing downfield. I know Caleb's right there. Let's go get positive yards on first down. That is growth and maturity. That was the guy. I'll tell you this, and thinking about this a little bit more, Garrett's performance was the guy that I saw in camp before the torso injury, before defense really started dominating. The right decisions. You have an opponent this week in Ole Miss who I think, while they present some interesting challenges defensively, guys, I've seen through the first 4 weeks, what is a team that, quite frankly, can't sometimes get lined up. And if the worst pass that I'm going to get from Garrett is the first throw of the game to Caden Durham, which was just a little high, and Caden has got to keep his balance, then fine. I will take it. Because the rest of his night was perfect. And it was flawless. LSU this week, this is going to be a massive talking point. LSU this week has got to run tempo, because I don't know if Ole Miss, who has struggled in multiple weeks at simply lining up, that LSU can't exploit it. They didn't have a lot against Tulane. They did the same thing defensively, damn near every play defensively against Tulane. Either they ran quarters or they ran man. There was nothing else really behind that. When they would run quarters in some situations, they would do some zone blitz stuff. But the back end's running quarters, meaning everybody's just going to play a quarter of the field and keep everything in front of them. Sounds good. Sounds good. But they have had issues in their run game, and they have had defensively, and they've just had simple issues of lining up. You got to be able to exploit it. Running drag routes across the middle of the field and hitting Aaron Anderson this week has never been more paramount. Never. Because they've been walking Sage Ryan and or another safety down on the slot guy. And if that is going to happen, you better feed number one all the live long day. And guys, quite frankly, I'm going right at Sage Ryan. I'm going right at him. Now, he's been a rotational piece, and we'll see how much he plays. I would assume he's going to get some playing time this week, and a lot of it. Because if they're going to put safeties that can't run on guys like Aaron Anderson, it should be an eat fest. I thought Garrett played exceptional. Is really the only point that we're trying to make here. Really, the only thing I want to say about the wide receivers, I thought, look, man, you just got to make the catches. I don't know how much more you can keep running Nick Anderson out there for me, though. I know you want to run him out there for some blocking opportunities. The problem with that is he's not doing that either. And you don't want to bench somebody because they're coming back off of an injury and they're having a bit of the dropsies. I get it. But, guys, you're starting to get into SEC play, and if that continues to happen, you're going to need to make a move. And that rotation in the wide receiver room has got to get cut even shorter. And I hate to say that, but it is the truth. I still think they need to find connections with Chris Hilton. I do. And I know that they tried some. But the drops have got to be fixed. And I think from Barryon, from Aaron, those two were focus drops. I don't think it's not necessarily a physical thing. I do think that Nick Anderson is more than mental. I do think it's physical. I hate that for him. And I know you're probably going to give him another shot. He's got to make the most of that opportunity because, guys, 6 drops in 3 weeks is not good. It's not good. It cannot happen. And this wide receiver room, for what it's worth, now that you're getting into the meat of your season, this wide receiver room has got to step up. Because, guys, quite honestly, you can't run the ball. You really can't. Not the way that you need to run the football. And that's going to be your Achilles heel all season. But in that Achilles heel, your receiver room has got to be better. And I think that and listen, I think they're going to be, quite bluntly. And I do think you start opening things up a little bit more. And I don't know how much you completely overwent and showed against Southeastern for what it's worth. So now you go into the situation and say, I still think there's a lot of potential with this wide receiver room. And if Garrett's going to continue to play the way he's playing, then the sky's the limit for this team. All right. Let's get to the 2 big negatives coming out of it and then kind of previewing this into Ole Miss. Guys, your offensive line's just not great. I don't even think that they're average right now. You just went up against an opponent in Southeastern that I don't think has a good interior defensive line. I think they got some speed, but I don't think that they have a good front seven at all. And I know that you ran for 135 yards, but guys, you're still 111th in the country in rushing. And I think it's a physical thing. I think it's a physicality thing, even against Southeastern. But guys, more than anything, I think against Southeastern, it was a mental thing. Some of the things that were missed against Southeastern is going to get you beat in the SEC. It gets you beat at Oklahoma. It gets you beat at Bama. It gets you beat this week versus Ole Miss. It will get you beat. You have some of the lapses in judgment against Ole Miss and Pete Golding that you had last week versus Southeastern. You are not going to win the football game. And I see a lot of people asking the question, like, why in the world is Ole Miss favored over LSU? They think it's this close. Yeah, they do. And knowing what I know from our good friends over at FanDuel, I think that they would tell you, guys, they don't trust this offensive line at all. Actually, I know it's what they tell you. I don't know the solution. I think there does come a time when you ask the question, Blake, or to anybody, is this a play calling thing? Guys, you're running basic inside zone. There's not a lot that goes into that. Maybe you should mix it up. I get it. I really think that it could be just an overall personnel thing. And it's not fair to guys like Tyree Adams, and it's not really fair to Braylon Moore. Because you have a problem at left guard, you have a problem at right guard, which is getting massively overlooked. And a lot of you, and myself included, Weston Davis has got to be better. If you can't start finding ways to either if you can't find ways to run the football or do extensions of the run, you're going to be on the outside looking into that playoff. You will be. You're going to have a game, and this one might be the one where you find a little bit of rhythm. Guys, Ole Miss defensively in their run game has not been good at all. But their worst weakness, meaning Ole Miss's worst weakness, is also your worst weakness. They can't really stop the run game. Blake, what about Tulane? Go watch Georgia State. Go watch Kentucky. Well, Blake, those games are blowouts. Okay, go watch them. Don't stat me. Go watch the game, and it will tell the story. Which brings me into the last thing I'd say about this offensive line. I don't know if it's just not personnel at this point. Because you guys, it wasn't really a physical thing. It started becoming a mental thing. Well, Blake, we can fix the mental. Guys, you've been getting hit with stunts and twists all season, and you still haven't been able to fix it. I know Briankelly said today that they're not changing what's going on at right tackle. Fine. But DJ Chesser comes back for the second half, and I am interested to see what they do at right tackle in the second half versus Ole Miss. Lastly, about the offense, I'd say this. Guys, I don't think your running back room is great either. I think they're about average right now. And I do think Caden Durham is getting frustrated with some of the things that are going on, but he can only be frustrated with himself at the current moment. Because some of this frustration is him flat out missing wide open gaps. This offensive line has been bad in situations. There's no denying that. There's also some times where your running backs are waiting for penetration to happen along the offensive line because it's all they've seen. Caden Durham has got to find a one cut and get north and south, not cut. He's got to start getting north and south. He's pitter-pattering too much at the line of scrimmage for me. And it does beg the question, does just Juan Johnson start getting more carries here? Because if you're talking to me about talent and potential, it's Caden Durham all day. In reference to production through the first 4 weeks, it kind of in moments and times over the last couple of weeks has been Juan Johnson. Whether it be Florida or whether it be Southeastern, guys, the last 2 weeks, your most productive running back has been number 8, who started the season off as a quarterback. A quarterback. Guys, you got to find a way to run the football. If it's if this offense could consistently get 3.5 yards per carry, I'd be kind of fine with it because I don't expect much more. And if you get 3.5 yards per carry, sack adjusted, and your running backs are getting 3-4 yards per carry, you're going to beat Ole Miss. But I don't know if you can do that. I really don't. Production starts becoming a question over potential and talent. Because the production that number 8 is giving you over the last 2 weeks is greater than what Caden Durham is giving you. From a pass blocking standpoint, from a pass pro standpoint, from a receiving standpoint, and from a rushing standpoint, number 8's been the best back that you've had the last 2 weeks. And I know that we all love Caden Durham, myself included. He's got to start getting north and south and lowering his pads and putting his helmet down and start running sons of bitches over. Running back is a position that if you're going to be the stature of him, the size of him, the weight of him, in the SEC, you're going to have to go get tough yardage. You can't just stop at the line of scrimmage. If you're going to hit the hole, hit the hole. You cannot pitter-pat at the line of scrimmage. This league is too good. Instead of trying to cut back and go completely outside, try to bust one on the outside. Meaning, if you're going an inside zone left, instead of stopping and trying to cut back so late, if you're going to cut back, you got to put 1 foot into the ground and go. Instead of just standing there, why don't you try with your speed to break it to the outside? The instincts are a problem. They're a problem. It was also a problem with Caleb Jackson a year ago. It's kind of a problem with Caleb Jackson now. And you're getting to a situation where, well, the only person who hadn't been in that running back room a long time has been number 8. And I know Juan Johnson will put his head down and cover the football and run and go north and south and give me positive yards. Ball control is going to be a massive thing with Juwan Johnson. Got to see what Harlem Berry can give you too. But I think it's more than just the O-line. I do. But neither one of them are playing up to the level that they need to play up to. And it is insane to me that you're undefeated with being as bad as you've been in the run game. The only other team that's around you, by the way, in that statistic, counting out South Carolina because Lenore Sellers went out and then they didn't run him until the third quarter. Guys, Bama is the other team that's around you when it comes to national rushing statistics in the SEC, but or conference and from a national perspective is what I mean. And they have a loss. They have a loss. So it's incredible that you've gotten to where you are right now. Defense stood up for you. But offensively, you continue to struggle. And I promise you, there's going to be a game where your defense is just off. I hope it's not this week. Or might not just be off, but they might give up 20 points. Or they might give up 17 points and they've been on the field the whole game. And quite honestly, you're like, dude, I mean, they're at the end in the fourth quarter, they broke because your offense could do nothing. And they couldn't put a game away. You can be there. It's going to happen. At some point, that is going to happen. You got to find a way. The last thing I would say here before I talk about the defense, which is, again, very minimal. You've had 17 games to figure this out about how bad your run game's been. Let me explain. Joe Sloan's been your offensive coordinator. Well, I say 17, but 17 means Ole Miss too. Joe Sloan has been your offensive coordinator for 16 games. Technically 17 if you want to count the Wisconsin game where he, in the bowl game, called the plays. For 16 of those 17, you've had struggles on the offensive line, and you have had struggles with the run game. Guys, the question I start asking too, if it's scheme or running backs or whatever it is, you had a decent offensive line a year ago and you still couldn't run it. I think it sometimes becomes a running back issue. I see running backs all around the country that get hit at the line of scrimmage but break a tackle or do something where they break an arm tackle and they're going for 5 yards. I look at Ahmad Hardy, by the way, who you could have gotten from ULM. That running back room has got to be better. And we got to see what Harlem Berry can do, will be the question. All right. The worst thing about the defensive performance on Saturday was that Gabe Relaford could be out for the year. And I know I hinted at this on Carter's show last night when I went on. Let's see what happens with Gabe Relaford. If he needs surgery, guys, I don't expect him back. We're going to see what happens with Gabe. But I'll just tell you what I told some buddies of mine last night or yesterday, and I'll say it here publicly. I was told that they were getting a second opinion after what they feared had happened had happened. It is a shoulder. We're going to see what happens. He won't play against Ole Miss. And, guys, I don't think he'll play next week either, depending. I think Gabe's going to be out for a while. And the problem is Gabe has been so good for you. If there was a position on this team that you had a lot of depth, it was the edge position. So that was the worst thing that happened. Injuries suck. Guys, I got to be honest with you. I turn injury, the sliders on College Football 26, I turn them down very low because I hate injuries. It's a video game. It's make-believe any damn way. Why do you need injuries? It's so dumb. You still have them, though, but It's a little bit less manageable. You just keep dominating. All 11 of your defense continues to dominate at every level. And I do think looking at LSU versus Ole Miss, looking at what we have coming ahead this Saturday, which we'll spend the rest of the week talking about, I do think that you're going to face off against Trinidad Chambliss. I think that's pretty much a given at this point. Last year, you struggled against defending quarterbacks that can run in veer situations, in basic zone read situations, and this is the first guy that can actually do some of this that you're going to face. And the kid can run. He can really run. You've had questions about your secondary, especially at safety, and the safety unit has already answered the question of if it's been better. It's clearly better. The big issue you had defensively a year ago was you couldn't stop running quarterbacks to save your life. If you opened up a tampon and you had a bloody nose and you stick that son of a bitch up there, you weren't going to stop the bleeding. It just, you were horrible. You were horrendous at it. I don't know why. I actually do know why. Guys, you didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. Now you feel like you do. This Chambliss kid is either going to start running on you, which you are going to have to keep contained, or he is going to go vertical or hit a drag route. That's all he's done. Gone vertical, drag route, run. It's not that difficult. And Ole Miss is going to try to beat downhill on you. They are going north and south with their running back in Lacey, and Logan Diggs more late in games, the fresher legs. It's all that they've done. All that they've done. And you have the great opportunity and privilege to go and show that you've worked on it and that you've been able to, and now you're able to stop it. But right now, I don't know if you have a weakness. I think that and let me say this, it's not that teams don't score on you. It's not that teams don't make plays on you, because that's just going to happen. What I don't know is that if you have a massive weakness like you've had the last 5 years on a defensive side of the football, because you've had a lot of bad weaknesses. Lane Kiffin's going to test everything. Like him, love him, or hate him, he's going to find a way. And I don't know, after listening to Lane Kiffin's press conference today, I don't think he wants to put the ball in the air. And if it is Austin Simmons that you face, well, he has been interception worthy. And is Trinidad Chambliss, the D3 quarterback transfer, is he ready to throw the ball when it means it the most against a really good SEC opponent? We're going to find that out. Because this Ole Miss team is not difficult to look at. They're not difficult to figure out. They want to be downhill. Chambliss wants to get vertical, and they're going to implement quarterback runs where you better keep contained. Because if you don't, you're in trouble. This kid can run. He can run. He can run. It's going to be an interesting matchup. But right now, defensively, you just keep dominating. You're so much better. Guys, I know that you're 17th in total defense this year, which LSU is 17th right now in total defense. Guys, I think you're a top 5 defense in the country. You know, it's funny. The Miami-Florida game made me feel a lot better about LSU, because I think Miami is really good. I do. I think they're a really good ball club. I think they're a really good team. Guys, that game was 13-7 with 5 minutes left, and the only reason they got to 26 is because Billy Napier is an idiot. He's an idiot. 13-7 with 5 minutes left. I mean, the truth of the matter is Miami and LSU should have beaten Florida the exact same way. In some retrospects, Miami ran the football a lot better than you did. It's a lot of the same game, besides a Garrett Nussmeier turnover. Florida's a good team defensively. They are just horrible on offense. It's going to be a fun week.